They had more money than most countries. They built towers with their names on them, flew in planes they owned, sailed on yachts that had helipads, and wrote checks that changed the course of universities, hospitals, and elections. In this video, we visit the graves of billionaires. Steve Jobs died October 5th, 2011, age 56. Buried at Alta Mesa Memorial Park, Palo Alto, California, in an unmarked grave. The co-founder of Apple, who built it into the most valuable corporation in history, with the iPhone, iPad, and Mac, dying of pancreatic neuroendocrine cancer after initially delaying surgery. His grave unmarked because he wanted it that way. The man who designed the most recognizable products on Earth, choosing to be invisible in death. John D. Rockefeller died May 23, 1937, age 97, buried at Lakeview Cemetery, Cleveland, Ohio. The founder of Standard Oil, who became the richest American in history, controlling 90% of the nation's oil, his monopoly broken up by the Supreme Court into Exxon, Mobil, Chevron, and the other companies that still dominate energy. Giving away over $500 million, dying at 97 at his Florida estate, the man whose wealth adjusted for inflation exceeded $400 billion. Andrew Carnegie died August 11, 1919, age 83. Buried at Sleepy Hollow. Cemetery, Sleepy Hollow, New York. The Scottish immigrant who built U.S. Steel and sold it to J.P. Morgan for $480 million, then spent the rest of his life giving it away. Over 2,500 libraries. Carnegie Hall, the Carnegie Endowment. The gospel of wealth, arguing the rich had a moral obligation to distribute their fortunes. The man who made the money, proving he meant what he wrote. Henry Ford died April 7, 1947, age 83. Buried at Ford Cemetery, Detroit, Michigan. The assembly line, the Model T, the $5 daily wage that created the middle class. The man who put America on wheels, also a virulent anti-Semite whose The International Jew was praised by Hitler. His fortune building, the Ford Foundation, the museum, and the hospital. The most consequential industrialist in American history, lying in a small family cemetery in Detroit. Howard Hughes died April 5, 1976, age 70. Buried at Glenwood Cemetery, Houston, Texas. The aviator, filmmaker, and industrialist, worth approximately $2.5 billion, spending his final years in darkened hotel rooms, emaciated, addicted to codeine, his fingernails growing inches long, the FBI using fingerprints to confirm his identity. The man who once held aviation speed records and dated Katharine Hepburn dying so deteriorated he was unrecognizable. Sam Walton died April 5, 1992, age 74. Buried at Bentonville Cemetery, Bentonville, Arkansas. The founder of Walmart, who opened the first store in Rogers, Arkansas in 1962, and built the largest retailer in the world, driving a pickup truck and wearing a Walmart cap, despite being the richest man in America. His grave in a small-town cemetery matching the modesty he performed in life. The Walton family now worth over $250 billion combined. J.P. Morgan died March 31, 1913, age 75. Buried at Cedar Hill Cemetery, Hartford, Connecticut. The banker who financed U.S. Steel, General Electric, and AT&T, personally bailing out the U.S. government during the Panic of 1893. His art collection forming the core of the Metropolitan Museum. His nose disfigured by rhinophyma, the most recognizable face in American finance. The man who was the economy dying before the Federal Reserve he inspired could replace him. Cornelius Vanderbilt died January 4, 1877, age 82. Buried at Moravian Cemetery, Staten Island, New York. The Commodore who built his fortune in steamships and railroads, his wealth equaling 1.5% of the entire U.S. GDP. His family spending the fortune so rapidly that within 3 generations, there were no Vanderbilt millionaires. The 10 Fifth Avenue mansions all demolished. The greatest American fortune consumed by heirs who confused inheriting with earning. Walt Disney died December 15, 1966, age 65. Cremated, ashes interred at Forest Lawn Memorial Park, Glendale, California. Snow White, Disneyland, Disney World, under construction when he died. The entertainment empire built from a mouse. The the cryogenic freezing myth entirely false. His ashes at Forest Lawn, behind a small garden wall, the man who built the happiest place on earth resting at the most visited cemetery in California. David Rockefeller died March 20th, 2017, age 101. Buried at Sleepy Hollow Cemetery, Sleepy Hollow, New York. The Chase Manhattan chairman and patriarch of America's most powerful dynasty, the grandson of John D., collecting art, Beatles, and influence for over a century. Dying at 101, the last of the grandchildren who remembered what it meant to be a Rockefeller when the name controlled the country. Conrad Hilton died January 3, 1979, age 91. Buried at Calvary Hill Cemetery, Dallas, Texas. The hotel magnate who bought his first hotel in Cisco, Texas in 1919, his will leaving the bulk of his estate to the Conrad N. Hilton Foundation rather than his heirs. His family's later fame through Paris Hilton, eclipsing the empire building that created the fortune. Aristotle Onassis died March 15, 1975, age 69, buried at Skorpios Island, Greece. The Greek shipping magnate who married Jackie Kennedy on his private island in 1968. His son, Alexander, dying in a plane crash he believed was sabotage. Buried in the Onassis family mausoleum on Skorpios beside his son, the island sold by his granddaughter in 2013, the Onassis graves remaining on land the family no longer owns. Gianni Agnelli died January 24, 2003, age 81. Buried at the Agnelli family tomb, Via Perosa, Piedmont, Italy. The Fiat patriarch who controlled Italy's largest industrial empire, the most elegant man in European business, whose signature style included wearing his watch over his shirt cuff. The uncrowned king of Italy, buried in the village where his grandfather founded the dynasty. Enzo Ferrari died August 14, 1988, age 90. Buried at San Cataldo Cemetery, Modena, Italy. The racing driver who founded the most iconic sports car brand in the world, treating every road car as a necessary evil to fund his racing team. Dying at 90 in Modena, never attending races at tracks where Ferrari drivers had died. The company now worth over $70 billion. Paul Getty died June 6, 1976, age 83. Buried at Pacific View Memorial Park, Corona del Mar, California. Once the richest man in the world, the oil baron who installed a payphone in his mansion for guests and refused to pay the full ransom when his grandson was kidnapped in 1973, only paying after the kidnappers mailed an ear. The cheapest billionaire in history, buried in California rather than at his English estate Sutton Place. Estee Lauder died April 24, 2004, age 97, buried at Beth El Cemetery, Paramus, New Jersey. The Queensborn daughter of Hungarian immigrants who built a cosmetics empire from a jar of face cream her uncle made in his kitchen. Her free sample strategy at department store counters, creating the modern prestige beauty industry. Forbes listing her as the only woman on its list of the most influential business geniuses of the 20th century. Alfred Nobel died December 10, 1896, age 63. Buried at Norra Begravningsplatsen, Stockholm, Sweden. The inventor of dynamite who read his own premature obituary calling him the Merchant of Death and established the Nobel Prizes to ensure a different legacy. His fortune of 31 million Swedish kroner funding the prizes. The dynamite fortune financing the Peace Prize, the most ironic endowment in history. Ray Kroc died January 14, 1984, age 81. Buried at El Camino Memorial Park, San Diego, California. The milkshake machine salesman who bought McDonald's from the McDonald brothers and turned it into the most recognizable brand on earth. 69 million customers daily across 40,000 locations. Not the founder, but the man who made it McDonald's, the brothers' original restaurant demolished and replaced by an unofficial museum. Madam C.J. Walker died May 25, 1919, age 51. Buried at Woodlawn Cemetery, Bronx, New York. The daughter of enslaved parents who became the first female self-made millionaire in America through hair care products for black women, employing over 40,000 people. Dying at 51, resting at Woodlawn, beside Duke Ellington and Miles Davis, the woman who built an empire from nothing, lying among the artists who built empires from sound. Leona Helmsley died August 20th, 2007, age 87, buried at Sleepy Hollow Cemetery, Sleepy Hollow, New York, in a mausoleum costing $1.4 million. The Queen of Mean, who declared only the little people pay taxes, convicted of tax evasion, leaving $12 million to her Maltese dog Trouble while cutting 2 grandchildren from her will. The mausoleum beside her husband Harry's, in a cemetery where the Carnegies and Rockefellers also rest. Coco Chanel died January 10, 1971, age 87, buried at Bois de Vaux Cemetery, Lausanne, Switzerland. The designer who liberated women from corsets and created the little black dress, Chanel No. 5, and costume jewelry, her collaboration with the Nazis during the occupation of Paris largely overlooked. The brand now worth over $15 billion, the woman who invented modern fashion buried in Switzerland rather than Paris. Hugh Hefner died September 27, 2017, age 91. Buried at Westwood Village Memorial Park, Los Angeles, California. The Playboy founder who purchased the crypt beside Marilyn Monroe for $75,000 in 1992. The Playboy mansion sold for $100 million, the grotto cleaned, the bunnies gone. The man who commodified sex resting beside the woman who symbolized it. Sumner Redstone died August 11, 2020, age 97. Buried at Sharon Memorial Park, Sharon, Massachusetts. The Viacom and CBS chairman who controlled MTV, Paramount Pictures, Nickelodeon, and BET, surviving a 1979 fire at the Boston Copley Plaza by hanging from a window ledge and losing a hand. Dying at 97 after years of declining health and a legal battle over his mental competency that exposed the internal workings of a media empire. George Steinbrenner died July 13, 2010, age 80, buried at Trinity Memorial Gardens, Trinity, Florida. The boss who bought the New York Yankees for $8.8 million in 1973 and built them into a franchise worth over $7 billion, 7 World Series titles, the most famous owner in sports history, firing Billy Martin 5 times, the man who treated managers like rental cars buried in Florida rather than the Bronx. Sheldon Adelson died January 11, 2021, age 87, buried at the Mount of Olives, Jerusalem, Israel. The Las Vegas Sands chairman who built the Venetian and Marina Bay Sands, the most powerful Republican donor of his era, spending hundreds of millions on political campaigns. The casino magnate who remade Las Vegas and Israeli politics with the same checkbook. Lillian Bettencourt died September 21st, 2017, age 94, buried at Neuilly-sur-Seine Cemetery, Neuilly-sur-Seine, France. The L'Oréal heiress who was the richest woman in the world for decades, her final years consumed by a legal battle in which her daughter alleged she had been exploited by a photographer friend who received over $1 billion in gifts. The woman who inherited the most successful beauty company in history, spending her last years as the subject of France's most sensational fraud trial. Harold Simmons died December 29, 2013, age 82, buried at Sparkman Hillcrest Memorial Park, Dallas, Texas. The Texas billionaire and corporate raider who built Contran Corporation through hostile takeovers, the largest individual donor to Republican political campaigns for over a decade. The man who made his fortune dismantling other people's companies buried in Dallas beside the other Texas titans. Stavros Niarchos died April 16, 1996, age 86, buried at a family plot on Spetsopola, his private island in Greece. The Greek shipping magnate and rival of Aristotle Onassis, their competition extending from shipping tonnage to horse racing to their marriages into the Livanos family. Buried on his own island because when you are a Greek shipping billionaire, your island is your cemetery. Milton Hershey died October 13, 1945, age 88, buried at Hershey Cemetery, Hershey, Pennsylvania. The chocolate king who built an entire town around his factory, providing housing, schools, and an amusement park for his workers, donating his entire fortune to the Milton Hershey School for Orphaned Children. The school trust still owning a controlling stake in the company, the orphans inheriting the chocolate empire. Kerry Packer died December 26, 2005, age 68. Cremated, ashes scattered on his cattle station in Ellerston, New South Wales, Australia. The Australian media mogul who controlled Channel 9 and was the country's richest man, the highest stakes gambler in Las Vegas history, once winning $33 million in a single blackjack session at the MGM Grand. His family donating his organs after his death. The man who bet millions at a time, giving away the only things money cannot buy. Paul Allen died October 15th, 2018, age 65. Cremated, ashes given to family. The Microsoft co-founder who left the company in 1983 after a Hodgkin's lymphoma diagnosis, buying the Portland Trail Blazers, the Seattle Seahawks, and building the Museum of Pop Culture, his yacht Octopus one of the largest in the world. Dying of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma 35 years after surviving his first cancer. The man who co-founded the personal computer revolution, spending his billions on sports, music, and exploration. Huguette Clark died May 24, 2011, age 104, buried at Woodlawn Cemetery, Bronx, New York. The reclusive heiress to the Copper King fortune, who spent her final 20 years in hospital rooms at Beth Israel, despite being perfectly healthy, her 3 mansions sitting empty, her $300 million estate, the subject of a legal battle between distant relatives and her nurse. The woman who could have lived anywhere in the world, choosing to live in a hospital room she did not need. Robert Maxwell died November 5, 1991, age 68, buried at the Mount of Olives, Jerusalem, Israel. The British media baron who fell from his yacht, Lady Ghislaine, off the coast of the Canary Islands. The death-ruled accidental drowning, though murder and suicide theories persist. His empire collapsing within days as investigators discovered he had looted over $400 million from his employees' pension funds. His daughter Ghislaine later convicted of sex trafficking alongside Jeffrey Epstein. Roy Disney died December 16, 2009, age 79, cremated, ashes scattered at sea. The nephew of Walt Disney who twice led shareholder revolts against Disney management, saving the animation division and forcing the ouster of CEO Michael Eisner, the family conscience of the company his uncle built. The man who was never Walt, but who protected Walt's legacy when the corporate board forgot what it was. Roberto Goizueta died October 18, 1997, age 65, buried at a private location in Atlanta, Georgia. The Coca-Cola chairman who grew the company's market value from $4.3 billion to $150 billion during his 16-year tenure. A Cuban immigrant who became the first billionaire executive created entirely through stock options. Dying of lung cancer at 65, the man who made Coca-Cola worth 35 times more than he found it buried in the city that made the drink.